As I continued to think about the matter, I gradually gained a bit of satisfaction from being considered an extremist. Was not Jesus an extremist in love? Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them that despitefully use you. Was not Amos an extremist in justice? Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Was not Paul an extremist for the gospel of Jesus Christ? I bear on my body the marks of the Lord Jesus. Was not Martin Luther an extremist? Here I stand. I can do no other, so help me God. Was not John Bunyan an extremist? I will stay in jail to the end of my days before I make a mockery of my conscience. Was not Abraham Lincoln an extremist? This nation cannot survive half slave and half free. Was not Thomas Jefferson an extremist? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So the question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists will we be? Will we be extremists for hate, or will we be extremists for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice, or will we be extremists for the cause of justice? Thank you.
Please stand for the reading. The reading this morning comes from the Old Testament book of Isaiah, from the prophet, chapter 62, verses 1 through 5. For Zion's sake I will not keep silent, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until her vindication shines out like the dawn, and her salvation like a burning torch. The nations shall see your vindication, and all the kings your glory, and you shall be called by a new name that the mouth of the Lord will give. You shall be a crown of beauty in the land of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of God. You shall no more be termed forsaken, and your land shall no more be termed desolate. But you shall be called, my delight is in her, and your land married. For the Lord delights in you, and your land shall be married. For a young man marries a young woman, so shall your builder marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. We ask God's blessing upon the reading of the word. Thanks be to God. What is love? Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7 about love. Paul shares that love is patient and love is kind. It doesn't envy or boast, and it isn't proud. Love doesn't dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. Love keeps no record of wrong. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love does. So Paul shares with us that love is two things that most of us take away from that. And we remember that love is patient and love is kind. But what's love? I started thinking about Ruth and Naomi. When Ruth shares with Naomi, where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Wherever you die, I will die, and there also be buried. So according to Ruth, love is devotion and dedication. What is love? The Love Boat. Cable television shares with us that love is two things. Love is both exciting and new. Remember that? And love can be shared and it can be found on a boat. They say, get on board, right? And when I kept singing that song over and over in my head and I couldn't get rid of it, I said, but wait a minute. Jesus loved boats, didn't he? So that's not a bad song. And there's singers who range from Andy Williams to Nat King Cole, and Hollywood even made a movie about it. You remember the song in the movie called Love is a Mini Splendor Thing? Love is a Mini Splendor Thing. After I wrote that, I said, I better look up in the dictionary, because what does splendor really mean? I thought it was something you put in your iced tea if you were on a diet. That's not splendor. That's a different thing. And what the dictionary said, the fourth definition of splendor is splendor is a great brightness, a brilliant light. Light and bright. Just like Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was. A bright light for the world and all humanity. So doing sermon research this week, I said, let me ask, the person that knows everything is Google. Let's ask the internet, what do you think love is? And the first thing that came up was some research a person had done, and they had asked a group of children ages between 4 and 8, what is love? What is love? So imagine this group of children, 4 to 8 years old. 7-year-old Karen says, love, that's when you love somebody when your eyelashes go up and down and little stars come out of you. I like that one. Love, Tommy, who's 6, says, love is like a little old woman and a little old man who are still friends even after they know each other so well. Elaine, 5, says, love is when mommy gives daddy the best piece of chicken. I think I would love that person too. Love is what's in the room when with you at Christmas, if you stop opening presents and you just stop and listen. Bobby, 7 years old, says, I love that. My favorite definition of love is a story, and you've probably heard it before. There was a 4-year-old child whose next door neighbor was an elderly gentleman who recently lost his wife. Upon seeing the man cry, the little boy walks over into the gentleman's yard, climbs up into his lap, and just sat there. When his mother asked him later, she says, honey, what did you say to the neighbor? The little boy said, nothing. I just helped him cry. Says it all. But Jesus shares with us what love is and how important it is, because it's not the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th or 98th or 99. It's the top greatest 2 commandments. And it's not just a suggestion that we should go by if we choose to. He says a commandment. It's instruction, intentional. Jesus shares, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and all of your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. I believe that to be very important. Remember the first time you fell in love? Remember the passion about love, even in a new relationship? How exciting and new, as Love Boat says it is? It is. Very passionate. Filled with passion. Living and being passionately is when I think about Jesus. He was in love with God. And more than anyone could ever be. Set an example for us how we are called to live. To be passionate about our relationship with God. January 15th, just 2 days ago, would have been Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 87th birthday. Goodness, I wish he was here to see how things have changed, but I believe he knows how things have changed. And when I think about passion, I think about the mission and the ministry of Dr. King. Him being a disciple of Christ. During communion, we're going to sing one of his top favorite hymns that he loved. Precious Lord, take my hand. I think about all the obstacles which existed in his path. We heard, that he went into Alabama, Birmingham, and for a silent, peaceful, legal protest, but he's thrown in jail. He's sitting in jail for days. He sees his statement of 8 white clergy people telling him things that they said to him. And the letter from the Birmingham jail is his response to that letter and that statement. But he lived and breathed passionately about delivering the oppressed from the oppressor. He lived and breathed passionately about social and spiritual justice, didn't he? Dr. King spoke about his mission and ministry in that same document. Later on, he says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But this letter from the Birmingham jail is his response to these white Alabama clergy people. They claimed in their statement that he was an outsider coming into his land and causing undue trouble. Kind of sounds like what Jesus did. You're an outsider. You're from the city of Nazareth coming into our land in Jerusalem causing trouble. They claimed that his response to the injustice was not Christian-like and that it was extremist, as we heard. Dr. King, in his reply to them, stated that anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. Anyone who lives within the borders of the United States must not be considered an outsider. That's prophetic, isn't it? Yeah. We struggle with immigration issues all the time. Even people in our congregation who have to get orders and wait months just to have their person they choose to marry be able to stay in this country. Dr. King, he lived by that theology and came to teach us that. Yet we attempt to identify what Jesus meant by the word neighbor. Neighbor, unfortunately, has a different meaning to us quite often. Neighbor means who we choose to love and embrace. Isn't that what Jesus meant? Jesus' definition of neighbor is different. This week we've witnessed, this very week, Dr. King, it just reminded me of the work that he did and how important it was and is. This week, the Anglican Church, for the first time, and the Anglican Church is the governing body of the Episcopal Church. In following years of heated debate with the American Church over homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and the role of women, they decided this week that it was their calling to suspend the Episcopal Church for 3 years from any key voting positions in their organization. You're loving the wrong people. So to right you, we're going to suspend your vote, your voice in who we are and who we stand for 3 years. Dear Anglican Church, this measure you imposed on your own people, on God's people, your neighbor will make the Episcopal Church even stronger. I believe that. I have many friends who are Episcopalian, and they don't feel beat down. They're not disappointed. They said, carry on with what we're doing. Just like Dr. King. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But it just goes to show that love is so passionate, doesn't it? But love's called to be confident. And like Ruth and Naomi, it's about devotion and dedication, and it's about drive. So last week when we were discussing Christmas is over, where do we go from here? Holy Spirit guide us, and the Holy Spirit delivers the message to us. That Sunday it says, the path that I'm concerned for you to follow is the path of righteousness in His namesake, not Federal Highway or Open Park Boulevard. We thank you for that message. But it's in Dr. King's work and mission and ministry and love for others that we discover and we experience what love means for the world. Jesus' love it's so simple, Jesus' love was inclusive, not exclusive. How could you see anything different? Love isn't destructive. Love lifts up. It never tears down a person. But it does tear down obstacles of love, which are built by human hands. It tears down obstacles such as judgment and racism and hate and prejudice and pride and injustice. Last night I was in the hospital room visiting one of our church members, and he told me about the first 40 years of his life, what it was like to hide who he was. I tried to be who society wanted me to be, what society tried and my church tried to teach me to be. And it was a struggle. It caused immense pain and heartache in all of my relationships. It affected myself, it affected everybody I knew, it affected my community, and more. But he said once he realized to embrace who God created him to be, he was able to no longer hide in the shadows, but to walk out into the light, he said, in his very own words. He said it was sort of a spiritual freedom. I was free at last. And yesterday we had a leadership team meeting here in our boardroom across the hall. Our neighbors, talking about neighbors, our neighbors of this church came. 4 or 5 of our neighbors. They were concerned about the homeless and the hungry. The problems that happen after hours when the office is closed at night and early in the morning. People who hang out and linger and do all kinds of things they were telling us about, and some very illegal. And they were concerned and upset about that. And our church expressed to them what we plan to do about it to help that situation so there's not disturbance. But we were very confident in our discussion about our call to meet people and to help people. The other people, the neighbors, they expressed their concerns, but then we told them more about the comprehensive program that Roots Ministry offers. We told them about what we do and why we do it and how we do it, and they were literally moved when they heard about the success stories that come out of this church. How people's lives are affected and how people's lives are changed and transformed, and they weren't aware of that. They listened to our story and we listened to their story, and transformation happened right there before our very eyes. I'll be honest, I went into the meeting going, oh boy, this will be rough. Because I just knew in my heart, it's so hard for us to change our perceptions and to change, the way we think and our prejudices and our judgments about people. It's so difficult to do that, isn't it? It's not easy. And I thought, well, this is just going to be another leg of the story. But it wasn't. Together we listened to one another. Together we acknowledged each other's concerns. And together we discussed the reality of those concerns. And we actually listened to one another. I could see the change. We could see the change happen right before our eyes when the people heard what we were doing. That it was knowledge is power, as David says. Or David. But it was amazing. So we decided together that instead of the neighbors putting a petition together like the neighbors in Oakland Park did against that program there, we do need to put a petition together. But the petition needs to come from all of us to how does the city address the homelessness problem? How do we care for our neighbor together? What's the solution to help that situation together? That's a whole different type of petition. It's a petition I haven't heard of before in the communities I've served. It was transformation and change happening right before us. Let us work together. Let us work together as one. I told the story that one day the office buzzer rings and I go in, a man had completely wet himself all over. And he says, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I just wondered, could I use your restroom? They won't let me in the restroom in any place. And I just need to clean up, sir. I said, come on in. We got him clean clothing. He was able to bathe and clean up. When they heard stories like that, they didn't realize that, these are the realities that people have to deal with. That God was trying to do the right thing, trying not to bother people, trying not to be a nuisance, but he literally had to go to the bathroom. A basic human right. So to see that transformation in the meeting yesterday, it reminded me of Dr. Martin Luther King calling and message to us all. It reminded me of Jesus' message to us all. That together we'll see transformation and change. It was truly an experience. It just goes to show what can happen if we're open to allowing the Holy Spirit to work around and through us. And see, the banners this Sunday we have, it says, remember me, I am the bread of life. And on the communion table it says, remember me. And I love that, because every time we do something, every time we perform ministry and help someone, we remember Jesus. Every time, instead of taking the rough road, we take the right road, we remember Jesus. Anytime we take a breath first before we speak, we remember Jesus. As the prophet Isaiah is quoted in today's second reading, for Zion's sake I will not keep silent, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until her vindication shines out like the dawn, and her salvation is a burning torch. What is love? Love is not keeping silent. Love is about listening. And as the prophet Tina Turner would say, that's what love has to do with it. Amen.
Thank you.
we aren't afraid. As Jesus told us, do not be afraid. Good advice. As we leave this house of worship this morning, let us remember that in this world, in this church, outside these doors, with our neighbors, in our community, in this state, in this nation, and in this world, let us remember that our hands are God's hands, and our feet are God's feet, and our words are God's words. Let us go in peace to serve and love the Lord. Amen.
I hope you were touched today by God's love and grace while viewing our worship service, and we hope to see you in person one day. We at the United Church of Christ, Fort Lauderdale, are an open and affirming church that believes in equality for all. We have many ministries that reach out to the needs of those in our community, and there's always something here for everyone to be involved in. We believe that God is still speaking and that our ministry outreach can only continue its vital mission in bringing people to Christ through the support of people just like you. Please visit our website, uccftl.org, for more information about us, to submit a prayer request, or even donate to the church if you have been moved by the Spirit. You will help us in God's work in our ministry outreach. We look forward to hearing from you soon, and we hope to see you next week. May God's peace and love be with each and every one of you. And remember, God is still speaking.